Hello everyone and welcome to another Stormworks video. Now you're probably wondering, what is this in front of us? Well, in this video I'm going to show you guys how you can start to build a artificial horizon here in Stormworks using some Lua. Now this is going to be a couple part video. We're going to start off with the very basics and just how to get the actual horizon on your screen, so a digital horizon on your screen, just like an artificial horizon here in game. And we're going to carry on and we'll build it up. We'll add some more cool features onto it as we go throughout the different builds. So the first thing we're going to have a look at is actually, I've got a very small little platform here that I've been building on, and it's pretty much just to imitate a helicopter or a plane. So of course with a helicopter or a plane, you can obviously pitch forwards, pitch backwards, you can roll left and you can roll right. And of course with that, you want your artificial horizon to move while you move. Okay, as you can see there, we can move and move. And we're going to learn how to do this, where we're going to be building the digital artificial horizon. So you can see this screen, both of them here, these lines can actually move forwards and backwards and left and right for us. So I'll show you guys how you can get this built. And as I said, as we move throughout the build series, I'll show you how to add different colors to this, more lines to it, maybe add the altitude, the speed, maybe your compass on here, your heading, and a few other cool features. So if you want to learn about this kind of stuff, definitely stay tuned and watch this guide. It's going to be a lot of fun. So now that we've got that, let's jump straight into our actual build here. Now I've got the small little platform already built. This is literally just some pivots on here to mimic a actual plane or a helicopter. You don't need that. Of course, if you're adding it to a real helicopter or a real plane, you don't need that. But for our example right now, I am trying to imitate a plane and helicopter, so I've built this little platform. Also got a little screen. I'm using a 2x2 for this example, and I've got a real artificial horizon so I can reference that just to make sure everything is correct. Now, before we even get started, I want to get some things out of the way because I'm sure people are going to put in the comments. Guys, I'm no expert when it comes to Lua. I am no expert when it comes to these mathematical things. I learn because I'm interested about them and I like to share my knowledge with you guys. So we're going to go through it. Obviously, I don't possibly have the best solution. There might be a lot of different ways to do it. There might be some things that are not the best way of doing things. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to need some way of measuring our roll and our pitch, okay, our banking and obviously our pitch there. And to do that, we're going to use some tilt sensors. So we're going to go and grab some tilt sensors. So we're going to go and add that, and we're going to add 2 to our creation. Now, it doesn't matter which direction they're facing. I will show you later on how to adjust this. So for example, if you have placed it in the wrong direction, that's fine. I'll show you how to get it working later on. Okay, once you've got that on, we of course need to create a microcontroller. So we're going to go and jump in here. We're going to go into our microcontroller editor, and I'm going to create a brand new microcontroller for this tutorial. So let's call this our video artificial horizon, for example, and we need to add some logic. So the logic we're going to start off with is we're going to get our 2 tilt sensors into this microcontroller. So we're going to get our first one, which is our front, and the other one, which is going to be our side. I'm going to move it along here, and let's do our front tilt. And let's do our side tilt. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. Both of those are going to be number inputs. Okay, so we're reading those numbers. Along with that, I also want to get the size of the screen. Now you don't have to do that, up to you, but I like my controllers to be scalable between different types of screens so that I can use them over and over again. So I'm going to grab the composite, and that's going to come from my screen. The last thing we're going to need is of course something to send our video to our screen. So we're going to add a new node, we're going to click on it, we're going to do video, and we're going to do video out, and that's going to go to our screen. Once we've got that, we can jump straight into the logic part of this build. So we're going to move our screen to the right, take our composite to the left, we're going to take our side tilt and our front tilt. The next thing we need is of course our Lua block. The Lua block is where we're going to be putting the script. Now, when we place that down, you will notice that we've got video out, which is perfect. It's going to go straight into video. We've got composite, which is perfect. That's coming from our screen. But we also have these 2 numbers, which we need to convert into composite so we can read it in the script. To do that, we're going to jump into our inventory here, and we're going to get a right number. So you can see here, right number, and we're going to go and put that down. So now we can click on the right number and tell it that we have 2 channels. Okay, 2 channels, so 2 numbers. we've got our front, and we have our side. Once we've got that, we can now bypass or send through our screen through this and then into our Lua script. Okay, so it's going through here, adding those numbers on, and then going to our Lua script. Once we've got that, we can then click on our Lua script and we can start working on the script. Now there's a lot of stuff in here. You can reuse a lot of the stuff in here. However, you can also get rid of a lot of it if you don't need it. I'm going to start by just getting rid of a lot of all this extra stuff. So I'm going to get rid of the circle, which I don't want. I don't want an output number, and I can keep the input number. Why not? Okay, so at the moment, the only things I have is the on tick, the value, input get number, the on draw, the width, the screen height, and the color. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to read the front tilt and the side tilt. Those are the two first things we want to do. So we're going to come here and we're going to do f under tilt. So we're going to say define that f underscore tilt is input get number 1. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to say s underscore tilt is input get number 2. Okay, so we're going to copy and paste that, put that as number 2 here. Okay, so now we're reading both of the tilt sensors. Now something to be aware of is the tilt sensors will give you a number value from negative 0.25 to positive 0.25 in turns. Okay, so for example, if you lean all the way to the left, as far as you can go to the left, it would give you negative 0.25. You lean all the way to the right, it would give you positive 0.25. So the first thing we want to do is we want to take that number and we want to times it by 4, meaning we're going to get a range from negative 1 all the way to 1. Okay, so times by 4 here. Make sure it's on 4. Times by 4. Okay, along with that, we can also convert that into degrees. Okay, the main reason why we're doing that is in theory we're creating a circle. Inside that, the circle is our artificial horizon that's going to be moving around. So we can once again go and let's put this all in brackets. Why not? Okay, let's go and tell it that it needs to work this out first, and then we're going to go and times it by 90 degrees. Okay, we're going to times the next one by 90 degrees. Okay, so once again, so from upright position, when you lean all the way to the left, it's going to lean 90 degrees to the left and 90 degrees to the right. Okay, so we're going to defining that right now. Along with that, let's move on to the drawing part. So what's actually going to happen on our screen? Well, the first thing it's going to do is going to get the width and it's going to get the height. Now that's why I'm getting that composite in, so I can measure what the height and the width is. Along with that, we can also tell the system, hey, what color do we want our artificial horizon to be? I want it to be like a white color, so I'm going to do 100 by 100 by 100. If I wanted it to be red, I would leave this as 100 and I'll change that to maybe 0 and 0. Okay, once again, up to you on what colors you want your artificial horizon to be. Once we've got that, we can start carrying on and working out some other things. The next thing we want to do is, as I said, we're kind of going to be making a circle, just like the actual artificial horizon that we have in the game. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to tell the circle how big to be. Now we could just come here and say, hey, the radius is equal to, what's the size screen that we're using, 64, and we want half of that, so radius is 32. We could do that. As I said earlier, I like to scale my Lua blocks so I can use them on different types of screens. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the width plus the height, which is going to, for example, take 64 plus 64, and it's going to give me my number, and then I'm going to divide it by 4, okay, and that will give me half of my screen size. Along with that, I also want to know what the center X of my screen is and the center Y of my screen is. Okay, I want to see what those two numbers are. So in order to get those, I'm going to do the width divided by 2 and the height divided by 2. Okay, by using these three things, you can now use any type of screen size that you want for this artificial horizon, and it will scale up and down depending on what you want. Okay, which is pretty cool. Once you've got that, we need to figure out what the pitch and also what the roll is going to be for our creation, okay, for this actual circle. So to do that, we can do pitch equals and roll equals. And for these two things, we're going to use some math. Now for the pitch, we're going to start off by using acos. So we're going to do math.acos. And in here, we're going to add some stuff. And then for the roll, we're going to do math.roll. rad. Okay, now if you're wondering what these two things does, the ACOS, what that does is it returns the arc of the cosine, okay, and then for the rad, that will go and return the angle in radians. Okay, you give it degrees and it turns it into radians, okay, which is pretty cool. So let's start with the pitch part. So we're going to go and take what our pitch is currently at the moment. So let's go, and that's the front tilt just over there. So we're going to take the front tilt, and over here is where we can actually now add our degrees. Okay, so I'm going to put 90 degrees here at the moment. You can change this to tell the system when you want that line to disappear from your screen. Okay, now I'll show you a little bit more about that later on, so just keep in mind about this little 90 that we have there. Along with that, on the rad there, we're going to tell the system the radians. Now we could, for example, we could put the S tilt, so we could come in here and put the S tilt. Now the problem is that that's going to put a line down the center of your screen, not across the center of the screen. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to put 90 degrees, and then we're going to minus our S tilt. Okay, and I'll show you once again. I'll remove the 90 in a few seconds, and I'll show you what that does when we remove it. Once we've got that done, we can now start obviously drawing our line across our screen. Okay, and to draw a screen or a line across your screen is pretty straightforward. So you just go and take this and you say, hey, I want you to draw from X1 over to X2 and Y1 to Y2. Okay, so X axis and Y axis, or Y axis and X axis, and you can tell the screen to draw from there. But at the moment, we don't know where we want to draw from. We don't know anywhere we want to draw from. So we need to go and define what X1, X2, X3, etc., Y1 and Y2 is for. So we're going to say X1 is equal to something. Let's do Y1 is equal to something. Let's do X2 is equal to something. And Y2 is equal to something. Okay, so we're going to go and define that. And that's where we can start putting all this stuff together to actually get the points on our screen where we need to go and draw our lines. So for example, we're going to come here for X, okay, which is going across the screen. And we're going to say the center of our screen is CX. The same thing for X2, we're going to say the center of our screen is CX, okay. Along with that, we can then add on our radius, okay, which is rad. Okay, so we're going to add on our radius. We're going to do the same thing for the X2 there, so we can add our radius on. Okay, pretty straightforward so far. Along with that, we are now going to go and find out where we need to draw it. And with that, we're going to times it by math.cos. Okay, and inside there, we can go and add our pitch and our roll. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our roll and we're going to plus that by our pitch. And we're going to plus it by our pitch. You can add some extra spaces here, obviously, just to help you see that a little bit better. We're going to do exactly the same thing for the next one. So we're going to go underneath here for X2. We're going to times it there. The only difference you're going to do is instead of doing a plus, you're going to do a minus. Okay, so you're just going to do a minus there instead. Okay, because obviously it's going to be the opposite when you are turning and rolling left and right. Okay, which is pretty cool. Along with that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set the Y points. To do that, we're going to take the center of the Y and center of the Y. We're going to once again plus it by the radius and plus it by the radius. And we're going to go and times it. This time, we're going to use something called math.sin. Okay, same thing here, math.sin. And we can go and add our brackets in there. Now, same process as before. For the first one here, for Y1, we're going to do roll plus the pitch. And then for Y2, we're going to do roll minus the pitch. Okay, that now gives us our values for drawing our lines. Cool. Now that we have that in, we can now, of course, check if there's any errors, which there aren't, and we can go and click on done. Once we click on done, we can double check our logic here. It looks good. We can then go and save this. So I'm going to go and save it up, and I'm going to call this my artificial horizon, and this is going to be for the video, and I'm going to save it. We can now close that off, open up our inventory, and we can go and find our Microcontroller. We can go and paste that down on our creation, and now we can get everything connected. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to connect our side tilt sensor over to our side tilt sensor. We're going to connect our front sensor over to our front sensor. We're then going to go to our composite and get our screen connected over to my composite there. And we're going to get video from the component, the microcontroller, over to the signal of the monitor. Now, of course, if you're in advanced mode here, you will need to connect electricity, and also you will need a way of turning your monitor on. For example, I'm using it so whenever someone sits in the seat, it goes and turns the monitor on. Once we have that, we can actually go and spawn this in and see if it's going to work. So we can go and spawn that in, jump in the seat. You can see I've got a line on my screen. Let's go to the left. You can see the horizon moving to the left there. Let's go to the right, and I can see my horizon moving to the right there. And you can see how it's moving both of these at the same time. Let's go forwards. Yeah, and you can see how it's going forwards. Now, remember earlier on, I was talking to you about that 90, and I was saying to you that you can tell the system to make this line go off your screen quicker or slower. Okay, so to do that, if you jump back in here, we told it to disappear at 90 degrees. So if we go back into our controller, go back into the logic, go back into our Lewis script, and click on the edit, I can then go to where we have our pitch, and I can change that 90 degrees to, let's say, 45 degrees. Okay, so if I change it to 45 degrees, it's going to disappear off my screen at 45 degrees. So we're going to click on confirm. We're going to go back to our creation, jump in the seat, and have a look at how quickly this line is going to disappear from my screen. See how quickly it disappeared? Okay, so you can change that. Now, if you're running into an issue where this is going the wrong direction, let's imagine when you go down, it goes down. Okay, and when you go up, it goes up, going in the wrong direction. Well, you can do two things. Either you can switch the direction of your tilt sensor, or two, you can go into your controller again, go into your Lewis script, and next to where you have your F tilt over here, you can make that into a negative. Okay, so you can make that into a negative here. And that way it will go in the opposite direction. So go and spawn it in now, jump to our creation, and jump in the seat, and now look. See how this is going up, but this is going down? So you can invert it, okay, if you want to. Let's jump back in here and let's go and fix those. And let's bring it back to how we had it originally. Okay, so we didn't have the negative number and we had this at 90 degrees. Now, remember also earlier on, I told you to go and put 90 degrees because we need to make it a line going across your screen instead of down your screen. Let's go and put that as 0 and have a look where your roll line is going to be on your screen now. So we're going to update that, confirm it in, spawn it in, and now have a look at where your line is. It's actually in the center of the screen. Okay, so that's why it's important to go and put that 90 degrees there. Okay, so you can tell it that it's got a line going across instead of a line going up and a line going down. Okay, so once again, go into the Lewis script and make sure you've got that 90 there. Now you can also change the size of your artificial horizon. Remember I told you that this was changing per the screen size. So if we were to make it a 1x1 screen, it would scale it to the 1x1 screen. Or if we put it on a 5x3 screen, it would scale it to a 5x3 or whatever screen we put it on. Okay. Now you can actually change that. So let's say our screen is got a radius of 8, for example. You can go and check that up, spawn in, and have a look at how small our little artificial horizon is going to be, because it thinks it's on a baby little screen. Okay, and you can see how small it is there. Very, very, very small. Okay, on your screen there. But of course, we don't want that. We want it the same size as our screen. So once a member, go back into artificial horizon, go into the Lewis script, and put that back to W plus H divided by 4. Okay, that's what I like to do. And you can go and update that and save that. Now, as I said, this does work for any size screen. So we could, for example, go and get a, let's go and get another screen. Let's do a 3x3. So nice big new screen that we have here in Stormworks. We can go and grab it. Let's turn the screen on when we sit in the seat. Let's give it some electricity too. Let's take the composite from our screen into our controller, and then the video from our controller into our video screen. Okay, spawn that in. Whoop. Let's jump in the seat, and here we go. Nice artificial horizon. See how it's scaled to the right size. This monitor is extremely heavy, so we've now just fallen completely over. So I'm just going to spawn in. Those little pivots are not strong enough to support the weight, but you can see how how it works, okay, which is pretty cool. So you can scale it on any size screen. So guys, I think that is probably going to be a great place to end this video off with. There is so many more things we can do with this. We can add the altitude on, we could add our compass, our heading, we could add our speed on the screen, we could add so many cool things, including like the ground color and the sky color, which we're going to be doing in the next episode, along with adding all these lines. So if you don't want to miss that and you want to kind of build your artificial horizon like me, maybe change a few things, definitely keep an eye on the series. And hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. As I said earlier, I'm not an expert. There's probably different ways in doing it. I might be doing a couple of mistakes wrong myself. If I am, let me know in the comments below. I'm not perfect at anything. And I'm learning at the same time. So guys, if you have enjoyed this, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and if you don't want to send me my future content, hit that little bell icon. And until the next one, we will see you then.